glamorous pop industry. Well, tonight, it's what it's like to be young, gifted, signed up by a huge American music corporation, and then left on the shelf with little chance of escape.
Madonna is #1 in the album charts. This is the story of a British band tempted by her success with the WEA Sire Record Corporation. They too joined the stable of Seymour Stein, the man who signed Madonna. In 1985, rock critics had tipped James as the next big British rock act, and Seymour Stein snapped them up into an exclusive contract. But unlike Madonna, they were never to earn more than £30 a week. A #1 band in the independent charts, front page of the NME, and described by Sound magazine as pop gods and saviours of rock and roll. They now belonged exclusively to the world of Sire WEA, part of the massive Warner Communications. Only when signed did they realise it wasn't a passport to fame and fortune.
Things were going really well for us. We were being courted by the record companies. We signed to Sire on a high. We were in the going upward. And things stopped, basically.
We would ring people in WEA a year after we'd been signed, and we'd say, this is so-and-so from James, and they'd say, James who? And it was like, they didn't even know you were part of WEA or Sire.
From saviours of rock and roll to medical guinea pigs, testing drugs at the local hospital for £10 a day so that they could continue to rehearse full-time. James shared their manager with top WEA act Simply Red. They've sold millions. Now Elliot Rashman has put at risk his vital relationship with WEA and Sire by talking to Out of Order. He believes James should by now be a top international act, but he says they were left in a dark corner of the music industry, what's known as the embalming process.
Most of the major record companies in America use the independent music scene in the UK as a Sainsbury's, and they come over here with their metaphorical shopping trolley and they fill it full of independent acts. And the cost for a major American conglomerate is minimal. So every year they come over here and they sign bands and bands and bands, and they tell them that it's all going to be wonderful and they're the next big thing, and that's as much as they do. All they have to do is sign them. They don't have to work them. Now their view is business is business.
Into the shopping trolley and locked into a 60-page contract, James were owned by Sire throughout the universe. Their future was in the hands of that company. In this letter to WEA, manager Elliot Rashman accuses the company of failing to give proper promotion. The problem, he said, stemmed from Sire's policy of sign 'em and see what happens. Don't spend any money in the meantime. All this from a manager whose only other band, Simply Red, were making millions for WEA. Sire were committed to releasing 2 albums. Today, hype and promotion are the lifeblood of pop hits. Elliot Rashman is scathing over the release of the second James LP.
It ended up on the shelf. It ended up being released because, again, from a contractual point of view, all a major has to do is release it, and they've fulfilled their obligation of the contract.
Can you have hits by just releasing?
No, it'll be dead within a week.
Well, the only advice Elliot Rashman could give James was to break up and to escape the contract. In fact, they don't even have a legal case, because here, subsection 6C of their contract says that they can't make any claim that more sales could have been made or that business could have been better than Sire actually made it. James, the high hopes of '85, watch the obituaries roll in.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's my disease. Give me a standing ovation and your sympathy. Poor old Johnny Yen set himself on fire again.
Across the Atlantic, Rolling Stone magazine wrote a glowing feature on flamboyant Stein, boasting he's a collector. He likes to collect furniture, and that's how he collects bands. James felt they were in the attic, but Sire wouldn't let them out of the contract.
If they turn around and let a group go, and they then go on to have success elsewhere, then they're left with egg on face and probably no job. You know, they'll be branded as, he's the guy who let James go. He's the guy who let the Beatles go. It's not a very good reference for the next job.
So they keep him?
so they keep you.
Fans waited. Their last album, recorded in February '87, wasn't released by Sire until autumn '88. With no new material, there seemed little point in playing live. We pursued Seymour Stein from LA to London to try and get him to talk. He's refused. His secretary told us he was too busy at the moment with the promotion, the parties, and the razzmatazz of the new Madonna album. 3 years on from signing, James are at last free of Sire's contract. Risking everything, they've borrowed £12,000 to put out an LP by themselves.
Seymour heard that we were making this programme and at first threatened to stop us releasing our LP, even though we'd had a telex from him saying we could release it. So obviously there's a threat there.
Stein eventually relented, but there's a final twist.
It means that their new album, which is a live album, coming out on their own independent label, they have to pay an override royalty to the major record company because they're using songs, albeit performed live, from the previous 2 albums, so they don't even let you go. It's a bit like hacking your arm off and still feeling the sensation for a couple of years.
Anyone need James ticket?
Saturday night, and the touts are out. Freed from their contract, James are back.
Well, we contacted Sire Records no less than 17 times to ask for an interview with Seymour Stein because we wanted to hear what he had to say, but he refused. Eventually, we traced him through his New York office to a hotel room in Madrid, where we delivered a list of questions. Among them, why would he not let James go when, as it appeared, his company was not promoting them? Well, we're still waiting for an answer on that one, but one question, it appears, has been answered. This week, 4 years on, James' new album went to #1 in the independent chart.
So many ways, and oddly enough,